just a moment. But like I said, I'm a mom of 3. And I said to my kids, you're not going outside to look at this thing today. Because you can't get glasses anywhere, by the way, Dr. Siegel. I mean, they're sold out everywhere. So I said, no looking at the sun. And I'm right to tell them that.
Boy, are you a good mom. So let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is on a normal day, Trish, you don't want to look in the sun. The sun warns you. It causes you to tear. It causes you to look away. That's the intensity of sunlight. Guess what? When you have the eclipse, you still have the same amount of radiation entering your eyes, but you don't have the warning sign. No, the sun's not telling you to look away because it's darkened, but you have the same amount of ultraviolet light. Now the eclipse is over, let's say after 2.5 hours. You say, I'm fine. I can see fine. But the next day or the day after, that's when the problems occur. That's when the retina, the photochemical of the brain, the photo paper of the brain, if you will, is damaged. Your central vision can be damaged. You get blurry vision. You see wavy lines.
Is it correctable at all?
50% of the time, it's going to go away. That's not a high number, and I don't want your children or anybody risking that, because even if it's just a thin crescent of a sun left, you still can get that damage. You got to stay away from the direct sunlight, even in an eclipse situation.
And even in a regular, you know, you should never be looking at the sun. But as you said, you have those normal warning signs. So you would turn away. Let me go over to Michael for a moment and just ask you about, like, how significant this is from a historical perspective. Michael, we're talking about something that hasn't happened since 1918, and it's actually moving over the entire country, all of the United States of America?
Well, what's interesting, Trish, is that total solar eclipses happen somewhere on Earth about every 18 months. So on some level, it's not rare. However, in any given location, I'm in Nashville, for example, on average, you get a total solar eclipse once every 400 years. In fact, here in Nashville, the last time we had a total solar eclipse was more than 500 years ago. So on that score, it is very, very rare. Get out. But as Dr. Siegel has been indicating, and you too, you have to be safe. You know, if you were ever a kid and used a magnifying glass on a sunny day to burn a hole on a piece of paper, that's exactly what happens to your eye. Wow. Remember, your eye has a lens, right? That's the magnifying glass. And guess where all that sunlight gets focused? Right on the retina. So that's like a piece of paper. So you're basically burning a hole in your retina just like you did on a sheet of paper on a sunny day. You have to be very, very careful.
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead.
I want to add to that warning, another warning, which is NASA says it's okay to look directly at it when it's total, when it's actually total, but out of that 2 hours and 40 minutes, only about 1 minute or 2 minutes maximum is it completely total. And if you guess wrong, you could end up with damage. And there's been a lot of historical problems with vision following this. I'm sure Michael knows the story about Isaac Newton looking at a mirror to look at a solar eclipse. He ended up blinded for 3 full days afterwards, but his vision recovered.
Wow. So it's something that you would feel right away? Or, you know, it's something... I mean, you said he was blinded for 3 or 4 days.
So, because he looked at it directly through a mirror, so that magnified it tremendously. I mean, he couldn't get enough information.
Yeah. But Newton was a bit of a wild man.
Absolutely.
I wrote a book many years ago called 5 Equations That Changed the World, and one of the equations has to do with Newton and the universal law of gravity. And the guy just constantly experimented on himself. He was especially interested in optics and the way the eye dealt with color and light and so forth. So what Mark is saying is absolutely spot on. Those are the good old days. Those were the Wild West days of science,
and
right?
Michael, you know that in 1918 they disproved his theory, and the theory of relativity was shown to be correct on another solar eclipse, total solar eclipse. But Trish, to your question, the point people have to realize is they're not going to know it till the day after. That's the part that's scary. Okay. They won't know right away that there's a problem with their vision.
From a scientific standpoint, I mean, what is it that excites you, Michael, as a physicist about a time like this?
I would say 2 things, Trish. One is miraculous. The other one's a little hair-raising. So first, the miraculous one. As you kind of alluded to in the introduction, it turns out that the moon is just the right size and just the right distance away from the Earth to create a total solar eclipse. You have to understand that the sun consists of many different parts, but the main part is that yellow disk, you know, the kind that kids draw when they're trying to depict a sunny day. That's what's called the photosphere, and that's usually what gets all the attention. Now, during a total solar eclipse, the moon's shadow is exactly, not too big, not too small, but exactly the right size to blot out the photosphere. And so what is revealed to us and a rare glimpse is what rings the photosphere, which is the corona of the sun. Now that is an amazing miracle, especially when you consider that the going scientific theory right now is that the moon was created early on in the Earth's history, about 4.5 billion years ago, when some large astronomical body collided with the Earth and spun off a moon. So what we're basically saying is, in that random accidental collision, a moon was created with just the right size and at just the right distance to create a total solar eclipse. There's nothing like it elsewhere in the solar system. So when you look at the total solar eclipse today, contemplate the wonder and the miracle of the basic phenomenon of a total solar eclipse. It's not, does not exist anywhere else in the solar system.
To Michael's point, Trish, this is why so many religions have lunar phases and solar. Most religions are based on the moon and the sun, and many have said that this proves the existence of God right here, because the chances of this occurring just this way, where the moon 400 times away is going to go across the face of the sun and cover it completely, the statistical chances of that are astronomically low.
Wow.
So the second reason, Trish, is hair-raising, okay? Because as the total solar eclipse happens and the corona is revealed, the corona is usually too faint to be seen. But when it is shown in a total solar eclipse, it's the part of the sun that I call the bad boy of the sun, because it is like a 3-year-old. It is given to tantrums. And you know, if you get a kid in a high chair throwing food across the table at dinner time, that's the corona. It'll erupt unexpectedly, unpredictably, and it'll fling huge amounts of electrically charged radioactive particles, usually elsewhere in space, all over. But every now and again, it's directed at us. And that happened in 1859. You can look it up. People can Google it, the Carrington event. And when that happened, and that was in 1859, that material hit us with the force of 100 million H-bombs, not A-bombs, 100 million H-bombs. Fortunately, we were in the horse and buggy days, and we only had the telegraph. It messed with the telegraph, and it created all kinds of incredible special effects. But if it happens, not if it happens, but when it happens again, Trish, it's going to be disastrous. The National Academy of Sciences says it'll create trillions of dollars worth of damage. And it's actually a scenario I worked into the plot of my novel, The Null Prophecy, that you mentioned at the top of the segment.
He's a great writer, by the way. I'm endorsing him. I've read his books. He's a great writer. One final warning here.
Okay.
Thank you.
He talked about the horse and buggy days when we put a pin in a plate and turned with our back to the sun to look at these things.
Yes.
Now that we're actually looking through these glasses, final warning. Make sure they're not smudged. Make sure they're not broken. Make sure they fit you properly. And don't use them for the whole 2.5 hours. Take a little look here and there, please. I don't want you coming to see me tomorrow.
Thank you, Dr. Siegel. Thank you, Michael. You know, sometimes I think I need these in the studio. We got a lot of lights in here. I could be doing a lot of damage. Anyway, this is just a phenomenal day, exciting time, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see this, but don't do it if you don't have the glasses. The market, well, you know, maybe everybody just is out looking at the eclipse, because we got a market that's trading pretty much flat right now. The focus, of course, today is the solar eclipse. I mean, today's eclipse is captivating attention